which we are going to see is going to be a recursion tree method. So anyway, whether it is going to be a iteration method or it is going to be a recursion tree or is it going to be any other method, the methodology alone is going to be different. Anyway, the final answer is going to be the same. So even if you are not sure about the final answers, you can solve it by making use of some other method and you can cross-check your answers too. So we'll see the recursion tree method. So as the name indicates, here we are going to make use of a tree organization for solving the problem. So we'll take the very same example which we solved it in last class. So the time complexity is 2t n by 2 plus n, and we told you the base condition or the base time complexity will be given. So if nothing is given, we'll be assuming it like t of 1 is equal to 1. The same two inputs only will be given for recursion tree method also. The same example I am going to take in. So 2t n by 2 plus n. So the same base condition t of 1 is equal to 1. So that I have not mentioned this over here. So anyways, by default, t of 1 will be taken as 1 for all the methods. Whether it is going to be recursion tree, substitution, iteration, masters, any other method, t of 1 will be always equal to 1. So what we are going to do over for recursion tree method is, obviously you know this first part is going to be a value, this second part is going to be b value, and this plus something is going to be your f of n value. So whatever be the f of n value which is given to you, represent that as the root node of your tree structure. So it is a recursion tree method. So repeatedly or recursively I am going to apply a tree structure for solving the problem. So obviously for a tree structure you should have a root node. So the root node will be, I have taken, I am given with a value called n over here. So this n is what is getting represented in the root node. So if you remember the previous problem for iteration method, so n was getting resolved as n by 2. So in the next iteration, n by 2 got turned to n by 4 and it was moving on till my final time complexity was 1. The same logic it is applied for this particular problem also. So it is n. So I have given a by 2 over here and my b value is also equal to 2. So whenever we have my b value is equal to 2, it means that I'm going to divide my problem into two sub-problems. Since my a value is equal to 2, this means that you are going to evaluate both the sub-problems. So this 2 will decide how many branches my tree will be having, and this 2 will be deciding whether you need to evaluate only one half of the tree or you need to evaluate both the half of the tree. So for this problem, both a and b value are the same, which is equal to 2. So initially I had n as my root node, so n I have written over here. So because of this b value 2, it is getting divided into two parts. So it is getting divided into n by 2 and n by 2. Why it is n by 2? Because for iteration method we saw every time my problem is getting divided into two sub-problems. So that's why it is n by 2 and n by 2. So next time it will be n by 4 and n by 4. This side also it will be n by 4 and n by 4. So this procedure continues until my base condition is met. So obviously we know our base condition is going to be t of 1. So the tree will be expanding both in a level-wise manner as well as in a depth-wise manner. So in both the directions your tree will be expanding until your condition t of 1 is equal to 1 gets satisfied. In other words, your recursive call, it reaches the end of the recursive call or it reaches your base condition. So till that you need to proceed your iteration. So I'll repeat this again. So whatever be the f of n value which is given to you, have that as the root node. If suppose instead of n I have n square, in that case your root node value will be equal to n square. If I have my f of n value as like n cube or n power 4, in that case it will be n cube or n power 4 depending on the problem. So whatever be the f of n value which is given to you, that particular value you need to take it as the root node. Then check for your b value. Your b value is equal to 2. So that will decide the number of sub-problems. So I have n by 2 and n by 2. So every time this gets divided, so this procedure should be continued until the base condition t of 1 is equal to 1 gets satisfied. So once this tree construction is over, the remaining steps are very easy. So the thing is that first of all you need to calculate the number of nodes, and second thing is you need to calculate the levels up. So number of nodes, how I'm going to calculate this? Just by manual calculation we are going to do. So level wise we are going to calculate the number of nodes. So I'll assume this as level 0. The root level I'll take it as level 0. Next level I'll take it as L1. So L2, L3, and this procedure goes on until I'm satisfying my base condition. So for level 0, when you count the number of nodes, I am just having only one node. So the number of nodes is equal to 1. When you look into level 1, the number of nodes is equal to 2. In the next level, the number of nodes is equal to 4. The next level, it goes on to 8. And in the next level, it will be 16. And this procedure goes on. If you look into the sequence, it is like 1 plus 2 plus 2 square plus 2 cube plus 2 power 4. It goes on like this. So that's why I'm having it as a generalized notation as 2 power 0. In general, for the last level, I'll have it as 2 power k. So this k value represents the level number. So let me have this as k. So this k value represents your level number. So if suppose I'm in 5th level, it will be 2 power 5. So just a general notation you are going to have, because this will be easy for us while doing the sum operation. So once you have calculated the number of nodes, the next thing which you need to calculate is going to be a level sum. Same way, similar to your number of node calculation, calculate the sum of the node values in each level. In the first level, I have only one node. So obviously the sum value will be equal to the node value. So my level sum is going to be n. In the second level, I have n by 2 and n by 2. So n by 2 plus n by 2, this becomes 2n by 2. So again, if I am simplifying that, this becomes n. And in the next level, I have n by 4 times. So this becomes 4n by 4. If you are simplifying this, again it will be n. So anyway, this is going to be n for all the levels. So up to this, do you have any doubts? So the three major things. One thing is you need to do this tree construction. After the completion of the tree, calculate the number of nodes in each level. And after calculating the number of nodes, calculate the level sum for each level. Up to this, any doubts? Any doubts? Any doubts? No. So once you are done with this, what we are going to do is similar to our iteration method, wherein we were replacing all our k in terms of n. So if you remember the calculation, yes, n by 2 power k I was having. So somehow I need to convert this k in terms of n. So I was applying log on both sides and I was reshuffling the values, and finally I got my k value as log n to the base 2. So wherever I had this variable k, I was doing this substitution as log n to the base 2, so that my final time complexity will be in terms of n alone and not in terms of any other variables. The same kind of substitution we are going to do it for recursion tree method. So if you look into the division phase, it is like n by 2, n by 4, n by 8, and it goes on. In general, I can write that as n divided by 2 power k. So depending on your division value, this n by something term will be varied. If suppose I am having p of n by 8 in my question, this will become as n divided by 8 power k. So whatever be the b value, that b value will be deciding the corresponding k value. So if you look into a particular depth in a tree, one particular path alone I am going to take in. Any path you can take. Anyway, it is going to be the same. So n plus n by 2 plus n by 4 plus n by 8. So every time my value is getting divided as by 2 by 2 by 2. So that's why I am just summarizing it as n divided by 2 power k. And we know the base time complexity is equal to 1. So that's why I am assuming this value as 1. So this is same as set of your iteration method, applying log on both sides and reordering the values. Finally, you will be getting the value for k as log n to the base 2. So here we are not introducing any new calculations. The same thing which we follow for iteration method, we are going to make use of it here again. Now what I am going to do is we are going to sum up all the values in all the levels, because your overall time complexity is affected by each and every node of this tree. It is not like only one part of the tree is affecting the time complexity, the other part we don't need it. It's not like that. Each and every node of your tree will be contributing to the overall time complexity of your code. So that's why we are going to sum up all the level sums. So this becomes n plus n plus n plus n, and this procedure goes on. And finally, for the last level, it is going to be 2 power k into time complexity of n divided by 2 power k. So why it is 2 power k? Because the number of nodes in the last level is going to be 2 power k. So it is going to be 2 power k. Then the time complexity of n divided by 2 power k. That's all. So now, as usual, we are going to do the substitution. So all your so this is equal to. So all your in general, I can write this as n times k plus 2 power k into time complexity of 1, because we have assumed like n divided by 2 power k is equal to 1 because of this equation. So this becomes 2 power k into time complexity of 1. So instead of k, we can do the substitution as log n to the base 2. So on rearranging it, we will be getting the time complexity as order of n log n. Then look into the previous question also, the same answer, order of n log n, we are going to get. So that's why I told you whether it is going to be iteration or recursion tree. We'll see one more problem. So I'll take one more example. The time complexity is 2t n by 2 plus 4n. So here I am assuming, as usual, the base time complexity t of 1 is equal to 1. So the first thing for your tree construction is you need to have this root node fixing. So for root node, for f of n, I am having the value as 4n. So the root value will be equal to 4n. So this is what I told you. So whatever be the f of n value which is given to you, the same f of n value you will be having it as the root node. So I have 4n. So divided by 2 I am going to have. So every time it gets divided by 2 and my a value is equal to 2. So my number of subtrees is going to be 2. So 4n by 2, 4n by 4, 4n. No need to simplify the values. Just have it as such. We'll be simplifying it when we are able to arrive at a common pattern. So 4n by 2, 4n by 4, 4n by 8, and this procedure goes on till 4n divided by 2 power k. Why it is 2 power k? Because numerator every time it is going to be 4n. So I have kept 4n as a constant. If you look into the denominator, it becomes 2, 4, 8. Next time it will be 16, 32, and it goes on. So in general, I can write that as 2 power k. So this is similar to t of 1. Till t of 1, you need to arrive at the answer. So here the substitution what we are going to do is n divided by 2 power k. So this 4 you can ignore it because it is going to be a constant. So n divided by 2 power k, n divided by 2 power k alone. So this part alone we are going to take in. So this part you can assume that to 1, and finally you will be getting a k value as log n to the base 2. Same calculation only. So once you have done this tree construction, the next thing is you need to calculate the number of nodes in each level. So in the first level, the number of nodes is equal to 1. So only one value is there. In the second level, I have 2 times 4n by 2. So number of nodes is equal to 2. So next time it is 4 and next time it is 8. So my t of n is in terms of n by 2. So it will be better if I am able to bring something in terms of 2. So 2 power 0, 2 power 2, 2 square, 2 cube, and it goes on till 2 power k. Why it is k? Because since we don't know till what depth this will be going on, so I'm just keeping my level number as a k. So whatever be the k value, I can replace that k value. So next we need to calculate the row sum or the level sum. So the level sum is only one node if I'm going to have, and the same value is going to come. If 2 nodes you are going to have, you just need to sum those two things. So this becomes 4n. So for everything it is saying 4n, 4n, 4n. So in general, I can write this as 4n, 4n, 4n. K number of times this will be going on, and this is similar to the previous thing. So 4n, if I'm taking this in common, this becomes just 1 alone. So what this becomes is t of n divided by 2 power k, because I told you this is what we need to find out, and we are assuming this as 1. So t of n divided by 2 power k plus 4n. I am taking it as a common term because n is not having any effect over my k value, because my iteration is over k only. So I am left out with only 1. And you know the formula for summation. Summation from 0 till infinity of sum a is equal to upper bound minus lower bound plus 1. So your upper bound is log n to the base 2. Just a small modification. It is log n to the base 2 minus 1. Why it is minus 1? Because we are starting our level numbering from 0. Only if my level numbering is from 1, you will be having it as no terms will be coming over here. Since my level numbering is from 0, so this is what my level numbering means. So 0, the number of levels will be log n to the base 2 minus 1. So this term becomes, so this is the same term, I am not doing any modification. So this side it becomes 4n plus log n to the base 2 plus 1 minus 1. Upper bound is log n to the base 2 minus 1. Upper bound minus lower bound plus 1 is the formula. Upper bound minus lower bound value is equal to 0. So this plus 1 I just cancel it and I write it over here. So what this happens after this is this plus 1 and this minus 1 gets cancelled, and you will be just left out with 4n log n to the base 2 n. This one again I can remove it, because we have already cancelled it, so I will be left out with, if you can ignore it, I will be just left out with the 4n log n to the base 2, and this side we have assumed it as 1. So rank complexity of 1, I know it as 1, and this side it will be n log n to the, because I have approximated it, 4 is a constant, so I am just ignoring the constant, 2 is again a constant, so I am ignoring the constant. So finally, I am left out with time complexity as order of n log n. Any doubts in recursion tree method? This is easy. The only thing is that you should know how to do the tree calculation. So how to split the tree. So say for example, I'm given with my a value, b value as 3. So I'm given with the equation like 2t n by 3. So what happens over here is I will be having 3 nodes. So this becomes 3t n by 3. This is going to be the equation. So this becomes 4n by 3. This time it will be 3, and here again it is going to be. So this a number will decide the number of subtrees. This b number will decide what will be the division step. So n by 3, next time it will be n by 9, and next time it will be n by 27. So b value will decide this denominated part, and a value will be deciding the number of divisions. Say for example, instead of n by 2, I am just given with n by 3, but I am given with my a value as 2. So this 2 is going to decide the number of subtrees. So I'll be having anyways 2 subtrees only. This 3 will be deciding the denominator part. So instead of 2, I'll be having a 3. So this will be the only change to the problem. Other than that, the procedure is the same. So needed necessary, always your a value and b value should be the same. You may even have different combinations like this. So your A will decide the number of subproblems, and your B will be deciding the size of each subproblem. So next time this will be n by 9 on all the sides, and this time it will be n by 27. So if you are approximating it, this becomes n divided by 3 power k. So everything you need to represent in terms of 3. So this becomes 3 power 0, 3 power 1, and it goes on like this. Okay. So anyway, when you are approximating it in the final step, it will be n log n only, because that 3 is going to decide the base value only. So base value will be obviously ignoring it. Final time complexity will be the same, but just for the approximation purpose, we are going to have different substitutions. So we'll move on to the last technique under transposition, which is going to be your columnar transposition. Okay, so in columnar transposition, that again this comes under the category of transposition technique, because you are not going to introduce any new characters. Rather, I am just going to shuffle the order in which my character is getting appeared in my plain text. Okay, so there are different methods are there for doing this columnar transposition. One is based on key value, the other one is based on by using the keywords. So key values in the sense like a key value like k is equal to 7 or k is equal to 5 will be given. So if that is going to be the case, how I'm going to do the alignment process, or instead of numbers, if I'm just given with words, how I'm going to process it in some order. So based on these two categories, you can do the columnar transposition. Again, while solving the problems, two more classifications are possible. One by making use of the filler X, the other one is not using the filler X. So that will be mentioned to you in the question itself, whether you need to make use of the keyword or you need to make use of a key value, and the subcategory whether you need to make use of a filler or you should not make use of a filler for solving the problem. So everything will be mentioned to you in the question. So read the question properly before doing the substitution. Say for example, I'm given with a plain text called attack postponed until attack is postponed until 2 a.m. is the plain text which is given to you, and the key value which is given to you is 4312567. So it's a kind of a sequence. So that sequence itself is given to you. So how you are going to solve by using columnar transposition? So that is what we are going to see in today's class. So the key value is 4312567. It is a constant value which is given to you for this particular problem, and the plain text is attack postponed until 2 a.m. So that is going to be the plain text which is given to you. So what you are going to do for columnar transposition, whether it is going to be keyword based or it is going to be key value based, or is it with fillers or without fillers, whatever be the type of problem which is given to you, this general assignment procedure is going to be the same. So whatever be the plain text is given to you, start writing it in a row-wise manner, starting from the first entry of the table. So this keyword, key value or the keyword will decide you how many columns will be there for doing your substitution process. So here I am going to have 7 columns. So you are just going to write one by one the characters in the plain text in these 7 columns until all the characters in the plain text gets filled up in your table. So attack postponed until 2 a.m. So till this only is the plain text which is given to you. So this plain text in a row-wise manner I have written. The 7 was decided by the key value. So I had only 7 columns. So once the 7th character is over, again start from the beginning. So you need to do it in a row-wise manner. So now I have added 3 new characters called X. So this is referred to as adding fillers, so or with fillers category. So why I am adding fillers at the end is just to make sure that my complete matrix is filled up. So even if you are ignoring this, there is no issues. So there again you will be getting similar answer. But when I am adding a filler at the end, what will happen at the background is you will be added with an extra character called X along with the ciphertext. And while performing the decryption operation, you need to ignore all the X in order to get a meaningful message. So that is what will happen in real time. So but for our problem solving, even if I'm going to have a filler or without filler, I'm just going to take my text as such. I'm not going to extract the fillers after doing the encryption process. So I have written the plain text in a row-wise manner, and I have added 3x at the end. So now what I'm going to do is, the name is a columnar transposition, so that indicates you need to process your values in a column-wise manner. So the key value is 4312567. So check out where my value 1 is present. So my 1 is present here. So read this particular column first. So first column fully you need to read it. So I'm going to write it in a row-wise manner, and I'm going to read it in a column-wise manner. So wherever your number 1 is coming, I'm going to read it in a column-wise manner, so that becomes TTMA. This is your first set of ciphertext. Next, check for number 2. Number 2 is adjacent to my number 1, so the next read it in a column-wise manner, so that becomes APTM. So that becomes APTM. So next, check for number 3. Number 3 also is adjacent to this, so that becomes TSUO. Then 4 is AODW, 5 is COIX, and 6, and then followed by 7. So all these values one by one, we are going to read it in a column-wise manner. So that's all. This is your encryption process without using filler category. So the same example only I have taken, attack postponed until 2 a.m. So in the previous thing, I have added 3 fillers X at the end in order to make this matrix as a complete one. The very same example, without using fillers, what will be the change in your ciphertext? So without using fillers means only for the last 3 positions, I'll be ignoring the character X. Other than that, the procedure is the same. So write it in a row-wise manner and read it in a column-wise manner. So for first 4, you don't have any difference between the first one and the second one. For the remaining 3 things only, that is for 5, 6, 7 only, I'll be having a change in ciphertext. So if you look into the ciphertext over here, this becomes COIX, and here it becomes simply COI. X is not included because in the question it is mentioned as I should not make use of a filler for solving this problem. So that alone is the change for this. Other than that, all other ciphertexts are going to be the same. So this is based on the key value. If suppose instead of a key value, you are given with the keyword for solving the problem, how we are going to proceed? Again, the procedure is going to be the same. So in the previous example, I was given with key value like some set of random numbers in some random order it was given. So here instead of the random numbers, I am just given with the keywords itself. So write the keyword. And so the keyword given to me is analyst. So I just written as analyst. So no need to ignore any characters. Even if a repetition of character is there, no need to worry. You can have it as such. So directly you can start solving the exercise. So analyze is the keyword which is given to you. So I just wrote it in the same order in which it is getting appeared in my question. And then the plain text is the nose is pointing down and the houses are getting bigger. So the same order, I'm just going to fill it in a row-wise manner. So the nose is pointing down and the houses are getting bigger. So here I have the number of characters equal, or the number of characters is divisible by the length of your keyword. So that's why we don't have the problem of with filler or without filler category. So no issues. So once I have filled this matrix, the next step is you need to read it in a row-wise manner. So in the previous example, I started with number 1, then I followed second column, and then I followed a column which was having the number as 3, and I was proceeding. So here what you will be doing is, you will be sorting out the characters of the keyword based on the alphabetical order. So A comes first, so A will be having the number as 1. One more A I am just going to have, so that will be getting the number as 2. So your numbering will be from left till right if the same characters are getting repeated in a keyword. So if more than one A is going to come in the keyword, the first occurrence of A will be getting the value 1, the second occurrence will be having a value 2, and the third occurrence will be having a value 3. So after A, the next character is again an A, so no issues. I've just given a running number for A. So after A, the next character is going to be L. So L is given the number 3. So in the alphabetical order, whichever character appears next in the keyword, that will be given the consecutive number. So after L, you have N, and then you have S, and you have a T. So now you have again arrayed at the value as 1, 4, 2, 3, 7, 5, 6. So now you got a format similar to the previous thing. So now the procedure is the same. After writing it in a row-wise manner, read it in a column-wise manner. So this becomes TIIAOEG, and next number 2 EPGDSEI, and this procedure goes on. Okay, so any doubts in this? Now coming to decryption. So now coming to decryption, first of all, what you need to do is the key value will be given to you and the ciphertext will be given to you, and you need to find out what exactly is going to be the corresponding plaintext. So for this, what you need to do is, for encryption, the procedure was easy because I was able to write it in a row-wise manner, and I just read it through column-wise manner. But now when coming to decryption, first of all, you need to check whether any filler is inserted or the filler is not inserted. So that again will be mentioned to you in the question. So here I have added a filler. So now what I'm going to do is, next thing is I need to find out how many rows are there for this particular table, because the content of the table is known to you now and the number of columns is known to you, because the key value will decide the number of columns, but I'm not sure about the number of rows. So what you are going to do is count the number of characters in the ciphertext. So that becomes 28 characters, and I'm just going to have my key value as 7. So that becomes 28 by 7, which is equal to 4. So that 4 will decide the number of rows. So 28 by 7. So 28 is the number of characters in my in my ciphertext, and 7 is going to be the number of columns which is given to me in the key value. So 28 by 7, which is equal to 4, which means that I should have 4 rows and 7 columns. So 4 into 7, totally 28 elements will be there in your matrix. So the key value is given to you. So I'm just copying the same key value. So this will be acting as the column number. And next what you need to do is, and you know how many rows are there. So I have 4 rows, so you can start writing it in a column-wise manner. So decryption is the reverse of encryption. You need to write it in a column-wise manner and you need to read it in a row-wise manner. So first of all, you need to start with that particular column, which is going to have the number as 1. So, and I know the number of rows as 4. So the first 4 characters you need to take in from my ciphertext, and that you will be writing it in the first row. Sorry, in the first column. So that becomes T, T, T. Next, what you need to do is the next set of characters you need to take it. So wherever I had this number 1, the first 4 characters you filled it. And next, again, you note it is equally divisible, which means that all the rows and all the columns will be having the same number of characters. So that becomes the next set of 4 characters, A, P, T, and M. So A, P, T, and M, you need to write it in the that particular column, which is going to have number 2. So A, P, T, and M. So this procedure you need to continue until you are able to fill out the entire matrix, and you will get the same matrix as this. So attack postpone until 2 AM. Similar matrix you will be getting when I'm just going to solve it over here. So once you are able to get this matrix, read it in a row-wise manner. So in that case, you will be getting back the same plaintext, attack postpone until 2 AM. So again, I just summarize this. For columnar transposition encryption, first fix the number of columns. So the columns you need to decide, that was decided by the keyword. If it is going to be a key, a value, and if I'm just given with a sequence, write it in that particular order in whichever way is given to you, and then start filling the values in a row-wise manner. And if I need to add a filler, add the fillers at the end of your matrix. If I don't need to add, you just have empty spaces over there and you can ignore those things while you're performing the encryption operation. And for decryption operation, it's just the reverse. Ciphertext will be given to you and the key value will be given to you, and you need to find out what exactly will be the plain text. So for that, you need to decide what will be the number of rows. So number of columns will be known to you. The number of characters in the table will be known to you. Divide the number of characters in the table by the number of columns. So that will tell you how many rows are there. Say for example, you are not given with fillers. So say for example, this is the plain ciphertext which is given to you, and this ciphertext you need to perform decryption operation to get back your plain text. So what you need to do is you need to count the number of characters. So here this becomes 28 minus 8. So now number of characters is going to be 25 without using filler category. So 25 characters are there in your plain text, sorry, in your ciphertext, and your key value is equal to 7. So now I am going to decide how many rows should be there. So if it is equally divisible, then we had no issues. Now in our case, it is not equally divisible. I'm just having a fractional part. So again, the same procedure you need to follow. Calculate 25 by 7. So calculate the upper bound of 25 by 7. So upper bound of 25 by 7 is going to be 4. So I just calculate the same 25 by 7. So instead of calculating the lower bound, or I'm just keeping it as a fraction, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to calculate the upper bound of this. So 25 divided by 7 is equal to 4. So what will become over here is 4 rows should be there and 7 columns should be there. But the number of characters in my ciphertext is going to be 25. So what will happen is 4 rows I'm just going to have, and the number of columns is going to be 7. As on a whole, I'm going to have 28 characters. But I have only 25 characters in my ciphertext. This 25 is known to you. So after calculation, I have arrived at the value as 28. So subtract these two values, 28 minus 25, that is going to have me a value as 3. This 3 will decide how many empty spaces you should leave from the end. So from the last column, you should ignore these spaces. I'm getting a value as 3. So from the end, so from the very last column you start in, so I should have one empty space, second empty space, and the third empty space should be over here. So this is how you will be differentiating between with filler and without filler category. So if it is with filler, then there is no issues. Definitely the number of characters will be completely divisible by the keyword length. Only if it is without filler category, you will be having an issue over here, wherein the number of characters in my ciphertext needn't be divisible by the number of characters in your keyword. Not in all the cases it will not be completely divisible. For some problems it will be completely divisible. If that is the case, then there is no issues. If in case it is not divisible, divide those two values, obtain the upper bound, calculate the number of rows into number of columns. That gives me the total number of entries in the table. Subtract these two values, and the remaining resultant value will be deciding how many fillers I should add from the end. So that's all about columnar transpose.